The aftermath of the joint attack by US and Israel on Iran is having a noticeable impact on the sports world in the Middle East and around the world. That as numerous players are now unable to leave the region, and questions continue on if Iran will even be able to participate in the FIFA World Cup this summer. So let's chat with FOS reporters David Rumsey and Margaret Fleming. David, let's start with you. Formula One's new season just days away. What do we know about the situation in the Middle East and how that could impact it?
Yeah, so next month, Baker Formula One does have two races scheduled in the Middle East in Saudi Arabia and Qatar. But the more pressing issue is their opener in Australia this weekend. And you might say, why does it matter that they're racing in Australia? Well, a lot of these European based teams, which is pretty much all of Formula One, they travel through the Middle East a lot to get down to a place like Australia. So whether it's the UAE or Qatar, a lot of that airspace is closed now after the retaliatory strikes in the region, and we're just not sure what's going on there. So these teams are having to basically reroute their travel week of, which they plan their schedule out, months and months in advance for the entire year. So to get to a place like Australia just takes a lot of coordinating, and to have these travel plans kind of thrown off like this is just creating a little bit of hard work for them this week.
And let's talk about some of the athletes here, David. I mean, we know there's some tennis players, some basketball players. Who's really stuck and unable to leave the region right now?
The biggest name people have probably heard of is Daniil Medvedev, who's a highly ranked men's tennis player, and he won a tournament in Dubai on Saturday. He actually didn't have to play the final match because his competitor dropped out with an injury, but he's supposed to be one of the biggest main draws at Indian Wells, all the way out in Southern California, which begins later this week. We're going to have some coverage on the ground there with our reporter Colin Salau. But Medvedev is not able to get there right now. He's not able to leave Dubai with a couple other players. The ATP actually released a statement on Monday morning saying they're monitoring the situation. They're working to get them there. But yeah, he's in Dubai right now, not sure when he's going to be able to get out or even get to Indian Wells.
And Margaret, let's talk about the soccer aspect in all this. There's a lot of questions on if Iran will even be able to partake in the World Cup, which is just a few months from now. What have officials so far indicated so far about Iran's involvement in the World Cup, and what have other individuals, maybe FIFA or even Andrew Giuliani, sort of said about this?
Yeah, there's been very little official uh, notice given so far. The president of the Iranian Federation has said we can't look to the World Cup with a lot of hope. FIFA has kind of declined to comment in depth at this point. They said they're kind of monitoring it and are hoping to have a tournament where everybody's able to participate. From the U.S. perspective, the you mentioned Giuliani, the head of the White House task force. He posted a big message on Saturday after the attacks, celebrating them and congratulating U.S. Forces on them, and said we'll worry about soccer tomorrow. Tomorrow, as in Sunday, came and went, and there's still not really much there. So there's a lot going on here. I think at this point, kind of anything's on the table in terms of who could ban who or who could just drop out or make the decision there. But so far, no decision has been kind of publicly, officially stated as to Iran's participation.
And again, this is just a few months from now, Margaret, when the World Cup is supposed to start. I mean, so what happens if Iran doesn't play in the World Cup? Does another team replace them? And who also decides if they're not going to be in it? Is this a US thing or is this an Iranian thing?
I think it could be either side. I think FIFA could also, but I would imagine FIFA is probably going to take the listen to the US's lead here. If Iran does not play, it's kind of believed that another team from the Asian Confederation would come in. That would most likely be, depending on whether Iraq wins their playoff game. If they win, they're already in. They'll go to the next step, or Iraq could get that spot. So it would likely be another team from Asia, but also FIFA could pull in someone else. We never know. I know a lot of Nigerian fans are really hoping for that. Doesn't seem super likely, but also who knows with FIFA, they could definitely pull it off. Um, from the U.S. perspective, this is definitely going to be a need for some like heightened security around the World Cup that wasn't really there before. Obviously, the World Cup is like a top national security event, just like the Super Bowl or anything like that. But now having military conflict with a probably former participant, this is just definitely going to need some more coordination from the U.S. side, more considerations than before.
David, obviously, a lot of this is still developing, especially in the region. Is there anything sort of you're keeping your eye on as things continue to progress, at least in the sports world, with what's happening there?
Like we said, next month there's a couple back-to-back races in Saudi Arabia and Qatar for Formula One. So certainly we'll be watching to see, will those races go on as planned? What is the situation like? That'd be a huge money loss if they were not able to race either or both of those races. So we'll see what happens there, how the situation develops. But before that, we do have Fanatics big flag football fest that's supposed to be in Saudi Arabia just later this month here in March, led by Tom Brady, Christian McCaffrey, a bunch of other NFL stars supposed to be playing in Riyadh for this, debut of this flag football event that's been so hyped by Fanatics and others. Will that go on? I guess that depends on what's going on in the region too, depending on airspace and safety of everybody else. But certainly right now, it would be kind of hard to imagine that going on as planned. But we'll see how the situation develops in the next few weeks.
And Margaret, same question. We'll give you the last word here. Anything else you're watching as things develop over in the Middle East?
Yeah, I mean, I'm just really going to be curious to see as to what Iran says, what FIFA says. I guess if the situation continues with the counterattacks as they've been going, I mean, some of the countries that Iran has hit in those counterattacks are also participating in the World Cup, so that might give FIFA grounds to stand on to say you're not invited to the tournament, and we'll just kind of see what plays out. But as of yet, there's been nothing definitive, so really anything's still on the table.
David Rumsey and Margaret Fleming, thank you guys so much. And stay with Front Office Sports News for more on the business and culture of sports.